Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the public meeting of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission this evening. The time is now 6:05 p.m. by my watch, and I call this meeting to order. As we begin, I want to remind everyone that public comments can be submitted to the CRC during and after this meeting in writing via our website, nj.gov/cannabis/meetings. And the deadline to submit written comments for this meeting is tomorrow, December 8th at 5:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Ms. Hogan, can you please read the notice of the public meeting?
Madam Chairwoman, this is a meeting of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Senator Byron M. Baer Open Public Meetings Act. The meeting was noticed in the Asbury Park Press, Atlantic City Express, Bergen Record, Courier Post, and the Trenton Times in April 2021. Information regarding the virtual nature of the meeting due to the COVID-19 pandemic was posted in publications and on the CRC website. The meeting time and location has also been posted on the website of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission and with the Office of the Secretary of the State.
Thank you. Can you please take roll call?
Commissioner Barker.
Present.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso.
Present.
Vice Chair Delgado. Vice Chair, I think you're on mute.
Present.
Commissioner Nash.
Present.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Present.
All members of the commission are present and we now have a quorum. The first order of business is for the commission to go into executive session to discuss investigation matters, legal matters, and litigation updates. These are discussions that are not shared with the public. We believe the executive session should take about 30 minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Madam Chairwoman, I move to go into executive session so that the commission may discuss investigation matters, legal matters, and also discuss litigation updates.
I second the motion.
Moved by Commissioner Barker, seconded by Commissioner Nash. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of going into executive session say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. The commission will now go into executive session. Again, for the public watching, we expect the executive session to last approximately 30 minutes. We will leave this live stream running during that time and will return once the executive session is done. So we can expect to resume the public open session at about 6:38 or so. Thank you for your patience. All right, thank you all for your patience. The executive session has ended. The time is now 6:46 by my watch, and we will resume the open public portion of this meeting. Ms. Hogan, can you announce the next agenda item?
The next item on today's agenda is the chair's report.
Excellent. So I want to take this opportunity on what is scheduled to be our last public meeting for this calendar year to recap how far we've come, some of the major milestones for the commission, and notwithstanding the sirens that you may hear in the background, some of the things that we can expect to see as the commission moves forward and into 2022. Next slide, please. So the commission launched on April 12th this year. And so in just 8 months, we've accomplished a tremendous amount. We've taken steps to establish the recreational cannabis industry, taken steps to expand the medicinal cannabis industry, and our commissioners have engaged with the public and with stakeholders directly to learn from others, gain insights that helped us shape our rules and our initiatives as we move forward. Next slide. Great. So just touching on a few of the milestones that we've reached this year. On June 1st, we took our first big step in adopting our interim testing laboratory standards. That is something that was that we were required to do by statute, and we got it done very soon after launch. As you can see here, less than 2 months after we first stood up. On August 19th, we adopted our initial recreational regulations. And this was a big moment for the commission because we got this 160-page set of regulations done in just 4 months. I know there were several folks who bet money against the CRC and they lost, but I'm very proud of the work that the commissioners have done and that our executive director and his staff have done to make that happen and cement our initial set of rules that will govern the recreational cannabis industry as we move forward. A short time later, we conducted our statewide informational webinar hosted by none other than our very own vice chair and executive director. And that webinar recapped the regulations that had been put into place and previewed what people should expect whether they are prospective applicants, municipal officials, or just community members who wanted to have a better understanding of what they should expect if a cannabis business were to set up shop in their communities. 2 days later, we issued awards for cultivation and vertically integrated awards in our 2019 RFA process. And this was, again, another huge stepping stone for the commission to start bringing a close to this long process that has demanded a lot of time and resources and energies from all parties involved. And so I'm very happy that we were able to get the cultivation and vertically integrated awards out the door so that those applicants can, those awardees can begin moving forward to prepare themselves for serving our patient population. And on November 9th, we then released our recreational license application requirements. This is the big thing that people were waiting for, so that individuals could know what is going to be required if they want to submit an application for a recreational license. And it spells out the details for those requirements, as well as provide some clarity on issues that we received a lot of questions about, like municipal support. And then just last week, we released our pre-application webinar on the recreational licenses. So we've done a tremendous amount in getting our recreational industry, establishing a foundation for our recreational industry, getting the awards for our medicinal cannabis businesses out the door so that our patients can be served. And the commission has, I'm really proud and thank my colleagues on the commission and staff here at the CRC for their work in getting all of these, getting all this great work done. When it comes to establishing the recreational industry, this graphic may look familiar to you all. It's on our homepage. It's one that we shared early on to illustrate the process that would be used to adopt our regulations. And we set up listening sessions for the public. We collaborated with stakeholders and interested groups to hear from them what our regulations should include. We took part in a collaborative drafting process that was pretty intense, not one that I would advocate or encourage other state agencies to try to do in 4 months, but we got it done and adopting, and now it's in place. And finally, the last step was to invite businesses to apply, to open that door and invite folks to throw their hat in the ring and provide us with their business ideas for conducting for operating a cannabis business. And so that is in place. Those first applications will be accepted starting December 15th. So we at the CRC are very excited to see what comes through those doors. On the medicinal side, we've expanded the capacity allowance for medicinal businesses. This pertains specifically to our existing medicinal business operators so that they can have more space for growing medicinal cannabis and have the opportunity to provide more medicinal cannabis products to the patient community. We're bringing the 2019 awards across the finish line, and our last step there is on the agenda for tonight's public meeting. And we've issued our guidance to the alternative treatment centers so that they know how they can submit their documents to the commission if they wish to become an expanded ATC and begin taking on recreational cannabis activities. In terms of public engagement, this is our 10th public meeting in 8 months. We've heard public comments from more than 600 individuals. We've assigned 8 major topics for public discussion and feedback during those public meetings that we've had. And we've had really robust participation in our statewide webinar and our pre-application webinar. As you see here, we've had more than 1,000 live attendees in our statewide informational webinar back in October, and nearly 2,000 views in just 1 week for our pre-application webinar. Our commissioners themselves have been getting out there and meeting with stakeholders and advocates and interested parties. So we have engaged in speaking engagements for prospective applicants, municipal officials, colleges and young students pursuing higher education, and attorney associations. And these engagements are meant to share out information, to establish the commission as a willing and engaged partner in making sure that the public understands what we are doing, what we are about, and how they can play a role in the establishment of a responsible cannabis industry. So what can we see between now and the end of the year? Particularly 2 items. The recreational license applications open up again next week on December 15th for our Class 1 and Class 2 license applicants, as well as our testing laboratory license applicants. And we expect the staff recommendations on the 2018 RFA process to come forward over the next few weeks as well. And as our executive director will explain later, the 2018 RFA process only concerns 6 applicants right now that remain, but we hope to have staff recommendations on how to move forward and get that closed out by the end of the year as well. What's next in 2022? We've got a lot happening. The Class 5 retail license applications, will begin to accept those on March 15th. That information is also included in the notice of application acceptance that was issued back on November 9th. We'll also be doing formal rule proposals for both the recreational and medicinal cannabis regulations. By statute, the CRC's initial rules that were adopted in August are only in place for up to 1 year. So the commission must go through the formal rule proposal process in order to cement those regulations or any amendments thereto, and regulations on other items that haven't yet been finalized and addressed. And we'll also be looking to update our medicinal regulations as well to make sure that our medicinal industry and our recreational industry mirror each other as close as they possibly can, so that we set up a sensible regulated system that is more or less unified. And also coming in 2022, we'll look to issue recreational licenses and expanding alternative treatment centers. I know there are a lot of folks who among the public who are very eager to reach this point. We at the commission are as well. And with the notice of application acceptance and the guidance to expanded ATCs already out and published, we are eagerly await to see what applications and certifications come to the commission and state forth how prospective business owners are going to operate here in New Jersey. So we're very excited to see the Garden State begin to plant its roots and take shape here as we get our cannabis industry up and running. So after we start issuing those licenses for recreational cannabis, soon thereafter will follow the beginning of recreational cannabis sales. But even after sales begin, the CRC will continue to partner with stakeholders both in the industry and among the broader public, so that we continue to share accurate information to folks, and we evaluate what's happening. We evaluate the outcomes and the effects of the commission's regulations and some of the efforts that we're taking on to make New Jersey's regulated cannabis industry one that is to be modeled after. And one note that I will conclude with here is that I'm very eager for the commission's work to come to fruition here. We have engaged in 3 working groups at the commission, working with partner state agencies and other individuals to do deep dives into how the commission can provide, how the commission can help provide technical assistance to prospective applicants and general business development support. We have a working group exploring possibilities in providing access to capital, and a working group that is dedicated to finding solutions and ideas for building a robust, strong cannabis workforce. And so our commissioners are eyeballs deep in these conversations with partner agencies to figure out how we can best serve our New Jerseyans and how we can make sure that the New Jersey's cannabis industry is one that embodies our values. So there will be more to come over the next few months with respect to those working groups and some of the ideas that they develop. But we have been listening, and those are 3 buckets that the public has made clear they wish to see some focus on, and so the commission is doing just that. So with that, I'll kick it over to our executive director for the executive director's report. But I'm very pleased with all of the accomplishments that the commission has been able to achieve thus far, and I look forward to the great work that we'll continue to do in 2022.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the members of the commission. So I wanted to talk about 3 main items today. First on the agenda is an update on the 2019 RFA Cultivation and Vertically Integrated Awards. Second is an update on 2021 personal use application, the acceptance of personal use cannabis business applications. And then finally, tee up discussion around the 2018 request for applications and the remand that has been under consideration first by the Department of Health and now by the Commission. Before I get to that, I did want to just thank the commissioners as well as the staff, particularly our senior staff who we've brought on, since April, and have really done a tremendous job in getting this agency stood up. And thank you to our chair and vice chair for getting these meetings done and getting everything put together. But I remember when Madam Chair, it was just you and I cranking out resolutions for that first meeting, and we've come a long way, and we have a long way more to go. It's been a tremendous year, and 2022 is going to be even better than 2021. Additionally, it's worth noting, I wanted to give particular thanks for everybody who came over to the Commission from the Department of Health. We have some employees who've been with us, who've been at the department working on medical cannabis since the law was originally passed in 2010. And we could not have a better group of individuals, a more committed group of individuals. And it's just an absolute honor to come to work every day with all of you and continue to do this. So turning to the 2019 RFA Cultivation and Vertical Awards, if you could go to the next slide. On October 15, 2021, the Commission voted on staff recommendations for 10 cultivation awards and 4 vertically integrated awards. Pursuant to the post-award conditions, by November 12th, 2021, the awardees were required to submit proof of site control, local approval, and if they were scored for having or committing to get a women business enterprise, minority business enterprise, or veteran-owned business certification, proof of that certification. And then on November 18th, 2021, the CRC issued debriefing responses to applicants who submitted questions pertaining to the 2019 award process. Prior to that deadline, we also posted publicly available general debrief responses. There were a number of questions and grievances submitted by applicants that were kind of cross-cut a number of different submissions. So we provided a publicly available document. You can find that on our medicinal cannabis businesses webpage if you want to see it. That was available to applicants, and then they also received individualized debriefing responses. Next slide. Following that post-award period of 20 business days, all 14 awardees submitted evidence of site control by that deadline, and all 14 awardees who received points for a minority, women, and or disabled veteran business enterprise certification met the requirement to provide an active certificate to the Commission. That's a certificate provided by the Department of Treasury, Division of Revenue and Enterprise Services. As far as what those certifications are, of the 14 awardees, 12 are certified women business enterprises, 13 certified minority-owned business enterprises, 3 certified minority business enterprises. And the reason that adds up to 15 and not 14 is that one of the awardees has both certifications. So what happens next with the awardees is, I'd like to remind everybody that until a permit is issued, the awards remain conditional. That's how our permitting process has worked in the medicinal marijuana program, then the Division of Medicinal Marijuana, and now under the Commission. In order to receive a permit, awardees will have to show that they comply with full regulatory requirements, both in our regulations and then in the statute as well, and the post-award terms and conditions that were in the final agency decisions issued by the Commission. As far as our regulations, there are provisions particularly in subchapter 7. I'll note 7.2 and 7.3 of 17:30A, which note that all awardees have to undergo criminal history background checks, and also that the commission staff are responsible for verification of applicant information. 7.2 in particular notes a number of reasons why somebody may be disqualified during the permitting process. It notes the reasons why somebody would be disqualified due to a criminal history background check, and the process by which somebody, if they were found to have a disqualifying conviction on their criminal history, could show evidence to the commission that they are rehabilitated and should not be disqualified. So moving on to our acceptance of applications of personal use cannabis businesses. As our chair mentioned, on November 30th, the pre-application webinar was posted to the commission's website. We will be posting in the coming days and week FAQs, as well as a application tutorial video walking people through the application in advance of that December 15th, 2021 beginning of acceptance of applications. Then on December 15th, 2021, we will begin accepting applications for cultivation, manufacturing, and testing labs. And then on March 15th, 2022, dispensaries. I encourage everybody to who has not watched that pre-application webinar to watch it, because we cover such issues as how the priority process is going to work in the licensing process, how review is going to go, how review under our new rules differs from our old rules, and what expectations there are for timeline regarding review of an application, and when a recommendation for approval might be issued. As our chair also mentioned, we did issue guidance to currently permitted alternative treatment centers on what the process would be for certifying to the commission that they could qualify as an expanded ATC under our regulations. That guidance, primarily deals with the process for that submission and how we're going to review them. The actual review criteria, what they need to submit, that is covered in our regulations. And just important to note that as designated by statute, that is a separate process from the broader application acceptance. So moving on to the 2018 remand, I wanted to go over and just review the proceedings that have occurred to date. Just to review, on November 25th, 2020, the appellate court issued their decision on a slate of 2018 RFA appeals. It affirmed decisions. In some cases, it vacated final agency decisions in others. And in the case of 8 final agency decisions, they vacated the DOH's final agency decision and then remanded those cases to the Department of Health for further proceedings. On January 8th, when I was assistant commissioner under the Department of Health, excuse me, I issued a letter to the remanded applicants outlining the remand process, provided an original timeline where all submissions that we would have needed to review and kind of make a decision on that would have been received by the end of February. Following the issuance of that letter on January 12th, the group of remanded applicants sent a letter to us at DOH asking for clarification, asking for more time, and asking for an amendment of the process. On January 29th, 2021, DOH issued another letter to the remanded applicants outlining again the remand process with additional details and providing more time for submissions, both more time for submissions for the remanded applicants and then also more time for the respondents, the awarded applicants. On February 5th, 2021, the remanded applicants sent a letter demanding a meeting or the issuance of new permits, and again reiterated a request for amendments to the process. On February 26th, 2021, DOH issued a response to the remanded applicants reiterating the process and the deadlines as set forth in that January 29th, 2021 letter. We did extend, I believe, in that February 26th letter, some of the deadlines just to account for the back and forth between DOH and the remanded applicants in this time period. So then on or about March 9th, 2021, 5 of the 6 remanded applicants filed an emergent motion in the Superior Court Appellate Division to stay DOH's remand process. On March 17th, the Superior Court Appellate Division rejected that motion by the remanded applicants. And then that essentially gave the process again back to the Department of Health at that time. On April 12th, the commission was established, and the commission overtook authority for the 2018 remand. And between April 12th and 13th, we received additional letters from the remanded applicants asking for reconsideration of inclusion of expert reports that were previously rejected as part of the record by the appellate division. That request was denied. And then we undertook the process, and the final submissions received in that 2018 remand process came in on July 8th, 2021. And essentially then that's when the review of all the materials began. As far as what that process looks like and what we set out in that letter and then clarified, Department of Health set out the additional administrative review process in early 2021. The commission took over authority on April 12th, 2021. But consistent across that period, we've had a quality control committee established under DOH, expanded under the commission, that's been looking at the process, looking at the scores, and looking at submissions from both appellants and respondents. And then we expect to produce a report to the commission prior to the end of the year. And with that, Madam Chair, I would like to turn it back to you and the commissioners.
Thank you, Director Brown. Ms. Hogan, can you answer the next agenda item, please?
The next item on today's agenda is approving the minutes of both the Commission's open sessions and executive sessions held on October 15th, 2021 and November 9th, 2021. The minutes have been shared and reviewed by the members of the Commission prior to the meeting.
Thank you. If there are no questions about the minutes that have been shared with the commissioners, I'll ask for a motion to adopt the meeting minutes for October 15th and October 9th, 2021.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Seconded.
Right, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the October 15th and November 9th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed of approving the minutes, say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it and the motion is carried.
Next on the agenda is the consideration of delegated authority for the 2018 RFA.
Thank you. Director Brown, can you please provide a summary of the authorization needed here?
Absolutely. So what the commission has before it is a limited resolution for delegated authority, delegating authority to the executive director to essentially issue a final recommendation report on the 2018 remand that I just went over, to coordinate with the Department of Health, under which the final agency decisions were originally issued, and issue new final agency decisions in this process and wrap it up before the end of the year. The resolution for delegated authority would expire on December 31st, 2021. So if no action were taken, essentially that authority would just expire, and it is limited to specifically the 6 appellants and 8 FADs, 8 final agency decisions that I just went over in detail in the executive director's report.
Thank you, Director Brown. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution concerning the delegated authority for the 2018 RFA?
Chairwoman Wenu, I would like to table this.
Certainly. All right. There's a motion by Commissioner Nash to table the resolution concerning the delegated authority for the 2018 RFA. Is there a second on the motion to table this item?
I second that, Madam Chair.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Ms. Hogan, can you please call the vote to table the resolution concerning the delegated authority for the 2018 RFA?
Commissioner Barker, Commissioner Barker,
Pass.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The table passes.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan, can you call the next item on today's agenda?
The next item on today's agenda is consideration of the 2019 Request for Application Dispensary Awards.
Director Brown, can you please provide a summary of the dispensary applications and the awards that are recommended by staff?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members of the commission. So for those of you who tuned into our cultivation and vertically integrated boards, I'll note that probably a lot of the information that I'm going to share today may be a repeat. This was part of the same process. And so the background, the authority, and some of the data and recommendations underlying this recommendation to commission remain the same. Nonetheless, next slide, please. So the authority for this request for applications really comes from the original Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act. This was prior to amendment by Jay Koenig's law, and it states that the department shall accept applications from entities for permits to operate as alternative treatment centers and may charge a reasonable fee. It says the department shall seek to ensure the availability of a sufficient number of alternative treatment centers throughout the state pursuant to need, including at least 2 each in the northern, central, and southern regions of the state. The reason I'm citing the statute as written in the original Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act is because this RFA was issued before Jay Koenig's law was effective. This RFA was issued on July 1st, 2019, and Jay Koenig's law was effective on July 2nd, 2019. Next slide, please. Under our regulations, which authorize and govern a request for applications in accordance with that statutory authority, 6.1 under 1730A states the commission may periodically request applications for entities that seek authority to apply for a permit to operate an alternative treatment center. Further, a selection committee shall evaluate applications on the following general criteria: submission of mandatory organizational information, ability to meet overall health needs of qualified patients, and safety of the public, experience in cultivating, processing, or dispensing marijuana in compliance with government regulated marijuana programs, history of compliance with regulations and policies governing government regulated marijuana programs, ability and experience of the applicant ensuring adequate supply of marijuana, workforce and job creation plan, community support and participation, and the ability to provide appropriate research data. The commission shall, and the department before us is responsible for convening a selection committee to evaluate and score each application. We have to verify that the members of the selection committee have no personal, financial, or familial interest in any of the applicants or principles thereof to be evaluated. And the commission shall evaluate and score each application based on the quality of the submission and its in conformity to the notice of request for applications published in the New Jersey Register. I'll just note on that last point that the RFA itself, which explains, ties every criteria that is scored back to those requirements that are in regulation, is available on our website at nj.gov/cannabis. All the materials related to the RFA itself are available under medicinal cannabis businesses on that website. So as far as the RFA timeline, it was issued on July 1st, 2019. Applications were submitted August 21st to 22nd, 2019. Originally, there were 198 timely submissions. 109 of those applications were for dispensary permits. On November 18th, 2019, 51 applicants were disqualified for the submission of incomplete or otherwise deficient applications. 17 of those applicants appealed those final agency decisions to the Superior Court Appellate Division. On December 23rd, the Superior Court Appellate Division issued a stay of proceedings. And then following some back and forth on January 14th, 2020, the Appellate Division issued clarification that the stay included all proceedings, including storing. And as a result, the review of any submitted applications came to a complete stop in January 14th of 2020. Fast forward a year and a month to February 18th, 2021, and the court affirmed the department's final agency decisions in all but one case and dissolved the stay on the request for an application, request for applications. As a result, the department is then allowed to resume evaluation and scoring. On April 12th, the Cannabis Regulatory Commission is formed and then assumes the authority over and responsibility for the RFA. So in the recommendations before the commission, there's a discussion on about patient need and a look at data from our biennial report in 2019 and essentially a look at how those assumptions have fared over time. And interestingly, what we've seen is that our assumptions for how much the program would expand were pretty on point. What we had wrong, in fact, though, were the number of patients who would leave the program in any given month. So we've actually seen, and even this is continued even after the passage of the recreational cannabis law, we have continued to see enrollment on a monthly basis in excess of 5,000 on average patients per month. And so looking at that, we're still seeing tremendous enrollment, but we are seeing patients disenroll. And one of the reasons we're seeing patients disenroll, and you can go to the next slide, is that the price of cannabis is still high and the patients per dispensary is still high. And given that we're looking at dispensary awards, that second column is particularly important here. I'll note that if you go back and look at that 2019 biennial report, we confirmed that the target for patients per dispensary should be about 2,000 patients per dispensary. In a state that's fairly densely populated like New Jersey, about 2,000 patients per dispensary is a reasonable level. We are projecting out enrollment through the end of 2021 and keeping 23 dispensaries, which is what we have now, that gets us to about 5,299 patients per dispensary. So we are still in excess of that. Next slide, please. Looking here, and this is a snapshot taken in September 2021, you can see that we have 23 dispensaries. At that time, we had 119,000 patients. We're now at about 122,000 patients enrolled in the program. The current price list is still high. We have ounces ranging from around $320 to $480. We are actually starting to see some value products hit the market, but for the most part, prices remain high. And our patients per dispensary, which is most pertinent to the awards today, remain over 5,000. And this is a look at patient enrollment over the last 12 months. Some have said that we would see a tremendous drop off when possession of cannabis was decriminalized, which occurred in February. We, in fact, have not seen that. In fact, enrollment has kept up, if not accelerated slightly. And although not represented in this graph, the last 2 months, so in October 2021, we added 5,143 patients, and the final numbers for November 2021 are 4,552 new patients. So the enrollment continues at a pace that is going to result in the patient rolls continuing to increase, even if we're seeing patients disenroll because of high prices and a lack of access points. So like we did with cultivation, and vertically integrated. If we take the model in the 2017-2018 biennial report and we update that based on the data that I went over earlier, essentially updating the that model for the actual enrollment that we've seen over the last 12 or 24 months and the actual disenrollment that we've seen over the last 12 and 24 months, these are the results that we get. We get essentially by October 2023, 184,000 patients enrolled, which would necessitate, according to that model, 635,252 active square feet of canopy. And we have effectively addressed that with the cultivation and vertically integrated awards. But with dispensaries, we'll need increasing numbers of access points for patients. And importantly, I'll call attention to the numbers between October 21st of 2021 and October of 2022, saying we need between essentially from last month to a year from last month or from 2 months ago, we need to hit 61 dispensaries and then trend up to 77. And so, you know, we have qualified applicants before us here, and we have an opportunity to get this program in line with what we need to see and what the data is telling us we need to see, and what medicinal patients really need as far as access points. Next slide, please. So based on that patient need, we are proposing to double the proposed dispensary awards from 15 to 30. So in the original RFA, we set out to do 15 with 5 per region. And unlike in cultivation, where we did the minimum distribution per region and then chose the high scores here, where location does matter. We want to evenly distribute the additional awards between regions so that there are 10 dispensary awards per region. And then in each region, pick the highest scores that have not previously been selected. So in order to look at these applications, a selection committee was convened in accordance to the regulations that I went over before. They were split into 3 teams. Each team was responsible for a third of the application. Team 1 had expertise in quality assurance, public health, emergency preparedness, pharmaceutical assistance, fiscal management, public affairs, and the management of environmental resources, and were responsible for 5 criterions listed here. Team 2 had experience in the regulation of the cultivation, manufacturing, and dispensing of medicinal cannabis, and were responsible for 1 criterion, essentially the experience of the applicants in cultivating, manufacturing, or dispensing marijuana, also adding up to 100 points. And then Team 3 was responsible, had expertise in workforce development, labor compliance, business development, and the certification of minority-owned, women-owned, and disabled veteran-owned businesses. And they were responsible for looking at workforce and job creation plans, including plans to involve women, minorities, and military veterans in the ATC ownership, management, and experience, and then experience with collective bargaining in cannabis industries. So there, that was each team had 100 points. Team 1 and Team 2, they essentially in the final score distribution, they each scored every measure, and then their scores are averaged to produce essentially composite score, which is then delivered to the applicant. For Team 3, because each team member had very specific expertise and they were very specific measures, each review committee member was responsible for either 1 or 2 measures, and together the total of their review made up that 100 points. So in accordance with our regulations, each member of the review panel certified to have no conflicts of interest with respect to the applicants. They disclosed and attested that they did no outside or personal business that would conflict with the work on the committee. Each member was a full-time state employee subject to uniform ethics code, and each member attended at least 2 trainings, once in 2019 and then a refresher training in 2021 after the stays were dissolved, and received detailed scoring instructions. One thing that we did cover in the public debriefing document is additionally, on top of those trainings, we did allow for a selection committee, the teams to meet and to pose questions to both us at the department and then also between themselves about applications. They were not allowed to discuss scoring, but they were allowed to discuss the RFA and the applications and ask us questions about either an application or the scoring instructions. After we received scores from the review committee, our staff reviewed the score sheets to ensure compliance with scoring instructions and the RFA instructions. We conducted a statistical analysis of all the teams and the reviewers to identify statistical outliers among both the total scores and individual scores. We audited the application materials themselves. And based on that audit, both of the scores, the statistical analysis, and a look at the application materials, we did request selection committee members in some cases to revisit or confirm scores that the quality control review and audit identifying as containing either typographical error, a potential inconsistency with the RFA, the scoring instructions, or were deemed to be a potential outlier according to that statistical analysis. So following that review process, we have audited and reviewed scores for consideration, recommendations from the commission, but importantly, also recommendations for the final agency decisions for post-award accountability. Similar to the cultivation and vertically integrated awards, it is the recommendation of staff that awarded applicants must operate in the medicinal cannabis market for 1 year prior to expansion to conduct recreational cannabis activities. These are awards for medical cannabis. We want to make sure that these entities prove themselves in serving New Jersey's patients before they expand to recreational cannabis activities. They will need to confirm site control and local approval for the endorsement within 20 business days. We recommend having them confirm again that they received or any proposed MBE, WBE, or VOBE certification, confirm that that's current and in good standing within 20 business days. Prohibit the addition of any new owners prior to permit issuance, and no majority ownership changes or management services agreements for 2 years unless they were disclosed on the application itself. And then finally, in addition to other things on in the recommendation report, have them operate in accordance with those applications as originally submitted in 2019. I'll note again, awards are provisional, and if awarded today, do not guarantee the issuance of a permit. Permit issuance is based on verification of information in the application, the ability to implement the plans in the application, compliance with the award conditions, and compliance with all medicinal cannabis regulations and statutes. Similar to the cultivation and vertical awards, we are recommending a formal debriefing period under which any 2019 RFA applicant could submit questions or grievances in writing to the commission. If approved, the debriefing period would commence on Thursday, December 9th, 2021. The reason we would allow for a day, staggering of a day there is because this meeting is at night. We'll upload the final agency decisions tomorrow, distribute those to applicants. And so that way they will have materials tomorrow and then be able to begin the formal debriefing period on Thursday, December 9th, which means that period would in fact end on Wednesday, December 15th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. No additional questions would be accepted after that submission deadline. All submissions should include at a minimum the applicant's business name, contact information, and a question directly related to the 2019 RFA process. For cultivation and vertical, we did receive some questions that did not pertain to the 2019 RFA process, in which case we noted that. The commission will respond in writing within 30 calendar days of the close of that debriefing period, which here would be by January 14th, 2022 at 5 p.m. So in the award recommendation memo before the commission, staff recommends making selections from the list of scored applicants in the following order. First picking the central region, then the northern region, then the southern region. The way we determined that order was by taking the ratio of patient enrollment in each region to the total patient enrollment in the state, population in that region to total population in the state, and then number of dispensaries in the region to total dispensaries in the state, and essentially balancing that. And by that calculation, we determined that central here indeed, again, is the region with the highest need. The central region has the highest number of patients, and that is really what affected the formula here. So based on that that order. For selections, we recommend first selecting the highest scoring applicant from the central region that has not already been selected or awarded. That is because applicants for dispensaries were able to submit in multiple regions, up to 3 regions, and they could also submit 1 cultivation application. So we did have some applicants who submitted cultivation applications. We had some that submitted in 3 regions, and pursuant to the terms of the RFA, applicants could only receive a maximum of 1 permanent endorsement as a result of awards pursuant to this RFA. So select the highest scoring application from the central region that has not been already selected or awarded, then select the highest scoring application from the northern region that has not already been selected or awarded, then select the highest scoring application from the southern region that has not already been selected or awarded, and then repeat that selection order essentially 10 times until 10 applications are selected for an award in each region. And just to pause here, the next slides that will be presented are the applicants that are selected in accordance with this selection methodology. Importantly, as we're going to display them in order of region instead of by order of selection, but you can read in the recommendation report, which will be posted on our website. If it's not already, it very possibly is already posted on our website. You can read the step-by-step the selections as recommended to the commission. But for sake of clarity here, we're just going to present them region by region so that folks can see those. So next slide, please. So under this selection methodology, the selections for dispensaries, the recommended selections for dispensaries in the central region are Middle Valley Partners, LLC, Monmouth Wellness and Healing, LLC, McGraw Holdings, New Jersey Incorporated, Monteverde, NJ, LLC, Silverleaf Wellness, LLC, Garden State Botanicals, GLCPC, Sanctuary Medicinals, Theory Wellness of New Jersey, and WoFlow. Next slide, please. Then looking at the northern region, pursuant to that selection methodology, the recommended selected applicants in the northern region are Community Wellness Center of New Jersey, GR Vending, NJ, Yuma Way, NJ, Terrapin, Oceanfront Holdings, 11th Colony Cannabis, New Jersey Pharmacana, First Choice Health and Wellness, Nature's Touch Med, New Jersey Patients Care. For the southern region, according to that selection methodology, first the law offices of Juliana Diaz, and I'll note that in their application they have a DBA, so they will not be operating under the law offices of Juliana Diaz, but that is what is on the application. Eastern Green Incorporated, doing business as Starbuds, Design 710, NJ Kindness, Restore NJ LLC, Organic Remedies NJ, Honeygrove Corporation, Circe Therapeutics, Life Compassion Center Dispensary, and Holistic Solutions. Before moving on here, I would like to again reiterate just the importance that these awards represent to patients in New Jersey. As covered in the recommendation report, aside from high prices, one of the biggest issues that we hear from patients on a daily basis, weekly basis, is the fact that often they have to travel far distances to access their medicine. I will note that for those of us who worked through the very beginning of the COVID pandemic, we saw significant access issues because of, like at any stores, but really at the dispensaries too. And I'll note that our ATCs did a tremendous job throughout that stretch. They did a tremendous job responding to a pandemic and doing the best they could. But we simply had too many patients for the number of dispensaries that we had. And many of them worked to open new dispensaries throughout the pandemic, but we still do not have enough. And we still have lines at dispensaries. We still have patients who have to travel an hour or two to get the product that they need. And we have an opportunity with the awards here to finally change that course, to put the medical program on the right path, to make sure that there's adequate access in every region of the state. So with that, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the commission. These are the recommendations for awards in the 2019 RFA for dispensaries.
Thank you, Director Brown, for that detailed overview and explanation. Do I hear a motion from my commissioners?
Madam Chairwoman, I move to adopt the resolution concerning the approval of applications for dispensary permit endorsements pursuant to the 2019 request for applications process as recommended by staff.
Moved by Commissioner Nash. Do I have a second?
I second it, Madam Chairwoman.
Seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this matter? Hearing no further discussion, Ms. Hogan, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Barker, can you repeat your vote, please?
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The resolution passes. Next up on today's agenda is the consideration of the Commission's regular meeting schedule for calendar year 2022.
Thank you. So as we enter into a new year, we have proposed a schedule for our regular meetings of the Commission as required by statute. The statute also does allow for the chair to call for special meetings when necessary. So we will continue to be open to that possibility as needed. The schedule has been shared with all of the commissioners for consideration. Staff, Director Brown, do we have, or maybe Ms. Blake, do we have that to display here? If not, then I'll simply read the dates.
Madam Chair, we will work to get something on screen ASAP, and we will display that before the end of the meeting.
Okay, no problem. What I will do in the interim is, for the sake of those members of the public joining us, I will read aloud the post dates for regular meetings of the Commission in 2022. So all of these meetings would start at 1 p.m. unless otherwise determined by the chair based on need. Friday, January 7th. Thursday, January 27th. Thursday, February 24th. Thursday, March 24th. Tuesday, May 24th. Thursday, June 23rd. Thursday, July 28th. Thursday, September 22nd. Thursday, October 20th. And Thursday, December 8th. So again, those regular meetings held on those dates would start at 1 p.m. unless otherwise determined by the chair based on need. And as Director Brown noted, we will work to have that displayed for those members of the public joining us. But I just read through the list there. Do I hear a, yes?
No, Madam Chair, I'll also note that they will be immediately posted on the website if adopted by the Commission.
Perfect. Thank you, Director Brown. Do I hear a motion to adopt the resolution concerning the annual meeting schedule for 2022?
Madam Chairwoman, I move to adopt the resolution concerning the approval of the Commissioner's regular meeting minutes for the next calendar year.
Commissioner Barker, I think you accidentally said meeting minutes. You meant the meeting schedule?
Meeting schedule. My apologies. My
Perfect.
apologies.
Not a problem. Moved by Commissioner Barker. Do I have a second?
Second that motion, Madam Chair.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Is there any discussion on this matter? Hearing no discussion, Ms. Hogan, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Similar to last year, I believe that evening meetings, evening times should be established in consideration of people and interested parties that may not be able to make every meeting at 1 p.m. Nay.
Commissioner Del Cid Cosa,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The resolution passes. Next, we have the open public comment period.
Thank you, Ms. Hogan. As we turn to public comment, I want to emphasize that applicants with questions about or grievances with the 2019 RFA process can, as indicated by Executive Director Brown, submit their question or grievance in writing to crc.licensing@crc.nj.gov. Those questions and grievances should be submitted by 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, December 13th. Members of the public can submit comments during and after this meeting in writing via our website, nj.gov/cannabis/meetings. And the deadline for submitting written comments is by 5 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, December 8th. Written comments, as usual, will be shared with the commission members and will be made public along with the meeting minutes. We'll hear first from those individuals who have signed up to speak in the order in which they signed up. Speakers during this evening's public comment period will be limited to 3 minutes. So please be mindful and concise during your comments. Please note that the public comment period is meant to give members of the public an opportunity to address the commission about matters that the commission should be aware of. It's not a place for people to simply market or advertise private businesses. So please keep remarks focused on matters that pertain to the commission's work or items that the commission should be aware of. Ms. Blake will call out the names of our registered speakers 5 at a time. When it is your turn to speak, Ms. Blake will ask you to unmute yourself. If you are dialing in on the phone, which I do see we have at least one, we do have some folks joining us by telephone, you will have to press *6 to unmute yourself when told to do so. Now, in order for our staff to unmute individuals who signed up to speak, your full name or phone number as it appears on Zoom must match the name or phone number you used to register to speak. So please take a moment to ensure that your name matches the name you used to sign up. If you need to change your name on the Zoom platform, you can do so by quickly exiting the Zoom meeting and immediately relaunching the Zoom meeting, which should prompt you to enter your name and email address. If you're joining us by phone, the phone number from which you're calling must match the phone number that was used to sign up to speak. Try as we might, I don't believe any of our staff members have mastered the skill of mind reading. And I do believe we see, I think I saw a couple of Irwins, a couple of Johns, a few Erics. So please make sure that your name matches or phone number matches the name or phone number used to speak. We will not be able to correctly identify you if you are a speaker, if your name or phone number does not match what was used to sign up. So with that, I will turn it to Ms. Blake to call on our first speakers.
Good evening, everyone. The first 5 speakers for today are Brendan Robinson, Alan Truscotsky, Lincoln Gratton, Lonnie Ephraim, and Hassan Austin. If those individuals are here, please raise your hands so I can see you. I see Brendan Robinson. Brendan, go ahead. Brendan?
I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go right ahead.
All right. Good evening. Thank you, Commissioners, Director Brown, Madam President. My name is Brendan Robinson. I'm the VP of 420 NJ Events, alongside my brother, Stan Okoro. We do various types of social advocacy work across the Garden State. We've been featured on High Times, NewJersey.com, Honeysuckle Magazine, et cetera. You know, we were able to expunge 78 records, New Jerseyans records back in September with our cannabis expungement clinic. We gave away 25 free Google laptops at our October Career Fest. And I'm saying all that because we've been fortunate to have folks like Cannabis, aka Columbia Care, help us out from a sponsorship perspective. But with that said, we're still a self-funded organization hunting for sponsorships to keep our lights on. And that just doesn't feel right when I think about New Jersey's cannabis space and how focused we've been on social equity. And my point of this is that the prioritization with social equity in New Jersey has been focused on applications. And my question to the commissioners is that when we think about social equity, it's great to help out and prioritize around it from an application perspective. But what happens after the application? What happens when folks need to do their build out their operations, their teams, things of that nature? You know, our focus is the advancement of Black and brown folks in this industry. And I just want to make sure we're prioritizing that to its fullest. When I look at what's happening over on the West Coast, when you look at Oakland, when I look at what's happening here, you know, I think that we have a big opportunity here to not only help folks get in this space, but stay in this space. You know, and my biggest question is just, it's great we're bringing 30 new retailers to New Jersey. It's great we just brought in 10 new cultivators, 4 new verticals, but how are we holding folks accountable to helping the communities that have been stricken by the war on drugs? How are we holding these folks accountable to ensuring the men and women who have lost their family members, their siblings, their spouses, their lives, right? How are we holding those folks accountable to ensuring that this space is equitable, diverse, and inclusive? So I just want to end it there. I just want us to really keep in mind that social equity goes far beyond just the application process. I would love to have a conversation. My brother and I would be happy to sit down and have a conversation about what we've seen and the data we've collected. We've spoken to these folks, and we just want to ensure we have a space here in the Garden State. I really appreciate this time this evening, and thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Alan Truscotsky, you're up next. Sorry, please pronounce your name when you start so we know how to pronounce it.
Hey, good evening. I hope everyone can hear me.
I can hear you. Go right ahead.
My name is Alan Truscotsky. I'm the founder of Cannabis Incubator in Bridgeton, New Jersey. And we are a facility where we're working with smaller entrepreneurial startups from the Garden State, helping them to get their start. And I was hoping that you might comment on your perspective on co-location of cannabis businesses, maybe at the same address, and whether there are any nuances that should be considered for application. And I'll also mention that I'm working with the city council and the mayor on this project. So we have municipal support for the project, but I just want to make sure we don't run afoul of anything that the CRC wouldn't support. Thank you.
Is that all, Mr. Truscotsky? Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, yes, that's it.
Mr.
Thank you for your
Truscotsky,
If
is that how you pronounce your name, sir?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is it Mr. Truscotsky?
Yes, that's who's speaking.
Thank you for that question. I would just say, and I would also pose this to Mr. Robinson and any other speaker that's going to join. If there is information that you want to share with us, please refer to the website, put in the meeting request form, so that way we can flag that and follow up with you and try to have these conversations to learn more about what's happening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Hassan Austin is also here. Mr. Austin, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Commission. Thanks for having me. I just wanted to say something very briefly in regards to the rapid increase of patients registering to the medical cannabis program. Very important that we also prioritize patient care and health and wellness. I know there's a lot of momentum around people really wanting to be able to compete with these MSOs. Certainly that part of the marketplace, the telemedicine industry, a lot of MSOs are operating in that space, and they don't necessarily operate under the CRC guidelines. So this is an area that I think is important, that there's a certain emphasis on preserving patient care and health and wellness, absent of certainly, having access to be able to afford some of the products in the marketplace is very important, but equally that education to the community, especially that patient population, as it increases in in the communities, you know, we must really pay attention to that. So to that said, business development should occur on the local level. That's really where most of the organization should take place, as those municipalities really try and formulate the pathway to application in their individual municipalities. It's important that most of the organization in terms of business development groups are really trying to position themselves in the marketplace, but most importantly, be able to compete in the marketplace. Is important that these markets are very, very localized. So just wanted to make a point in those two matters, but otherwise, thanks for giving me some time to speak, and keep up the great work, CRC. Thanks again.
Thank you for your comment. Before I call the next 5 speakers, Commissioner Huenu.
Yes, I believe we have staff ready to display the schedule for 2022. Director Brown, is that right?
That is correct. Wesley, if you have it, if you have the slide ready, please please share your screen. I will share my screen. Give me one moment. I can confirm, however, that the meetings are in fact posted on the website now, so they're available for anybody to see. And I am sharing this right now so that everybody can see it. So these are the proposed schedule of CRC regular meetings for calendar year 2022. As our chair noted, it's Friday, January 7th, Thursday, January 27th, Thursday, February 24th, Thursday, March 24th, Tuesday, May 24th, Thursday, June 23rd, Thursday, July 28th, Thursday, September 22nd, October 20th, and then December 8th, all at 1 p.m. And these are not just proposed, they are in fact adopted by the commission. So these will be the regular meeting dates for calendar year 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brown, for following up with that and displaying that for our members of the public. So again, those approved meeting dates are now available on our website if you missed any of those dates and want to learn more. Thank you. Ms. Blake, we can resume the public comment period.
Thank you. The next 5 up will be Rafael Richter, Cameron Johnson, Jameli Caraballo, Robert Isaiah, and Dr. Monique Hamilton. If any of those individuals are present, please raise your hand. Again, your name must match the name you registered with. If you have a phone number, then it also needs to match. Dr. Monique Hamilton, go ahead.
Hello, I am Dr. Monique Hamilton, and I am board certified in internal medicine. I am the co-founder and lead physician for the Dr. Moni Hammy Medical Center, DMMC, in New Jersey. Patients have many medical conditions that determine which method of cannabis consumption is best for them to achieve the desired treatment effects. This includes allowing medical patients access to edible forms of cannabis, including baked goods, gummies, hard candies, mints, drinks, capsules, and dissolvable tablets. The labels of edible cannabis products should clearly indicate the concentration of THC and CBD and instructions for use. Cannabis products must be properly labeled, stored in child-resistant containers that are resealed after use, and stored out of the sight and reach of children and pets. Correct and standardized labeling will ensure that patients and consumers are provided products of the same standards and helps patients and consumers decide which product may help suit their needs. I believe it is important that the packaging and labeling of cannabis and cannabis products should be standardized and include 1, the strain of cannabis by percentage. For example, a predominantly sativa product would be sativa 65%. 2, the concentration of THC and CBD in the product. 3, the weight of the product. 4, contaminant testing statement. This is a generic statement of compliance with the mandatory contaminant testing on all cannabis product labels. 5, warning statement.
Where's the time?
Any warning statement on cannabis products based on the type of product. And 6, ingestible infused products should include an ingredients list, allergen labeling, and nutrition facts. The doctor is required to follow up with the patient regularly to ensure that the patient experiences no unwanted side effects, no adverse interactions with other medications, and the desired treatment response. This should include more than 1 visit per year for medical cannabis certification per the New Jersey Medical Cannabis Program bona fide relationship criterion. Currently, the bona fide relationship is defined as, among other things.
Miss Dr. Hamilton, your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. Are any of the other persons here? The other names were Raphael Richter, Cameron Johnson, Jameli Carballo, and Robert Isaiah. Are any of those individuals here? Mr. Jameli, you can go ahead.
Good evening, commissioners. Good evening, director. My name is Jameli. I am a Pattersonian, and I wanted to direct this question. I also work for GTI, Green Thumb Industries here in Rye.
Ms. Jameli, sorry,
Yes,
Ms.
dear.
Jameli, we need your last name for purposes of our meeting minutes. Could you please provide a full name?
Sure, Jameli Caraballo.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So the reason that I wanted to come up here and speak today was for a couple of reasons. Right now, the municipality here in Patterson are worried about soliciting tickets for we're not prohibited to smoke. So I wanted the CRC to come up with a way where we could maybe mock how the state of New York now, they could, wherever they could smoke cigarettes, they could smoke cannabis. So we already have councilmen in the city wanting to give out tickets. So, you know, just want to facilitate that for the residents here in Patterson, because about roughly, my numbers may not, don't quote me on this, 70% of the population here in Patterson chose for it to go legal. So, you know, just wanted the CRC to, I don't know if it's going to happen by municipality, but, or within the whole state, how we could facilitate that for the consumers of how it would be safe, or where would it be safe for them to consume their cannabis as it proceeds in hopefully 2022 to become legal for adult use. That is all for today, and thank you for everybody for your time.
Thank you very much for your comment. I'm going to say the next 5 again. Robert Isaiah, Aaron Streeter, Carrion McNish, Jennifer Martin, and Stanley Daniels. I'm sorry, that's not a repeat. Those are the new ones. Robert Isaiah, Aaron Streeter, Carrion McNish, Jennifer Martin, and Stanley Daniels. If any of those individuals are present, please raise your hand and you will be allowed to speak. Not seeing any of those. I'm moving on. Susan Ciarato, Cheryl Murray Powell Esquire, Cecilia Childs Parker, David Fetter, and Paul Josephson. If any of those people are present, raise your hand. I see Cheryl Murray Powell. Go ahead, Ms. Powell.
Hi, good evening. I am, as mentioned, Cheryl Murray Powell Esquire. I'm a cannabis agricultural dietary supplement attorney, cannabis activist for forever, but practicing in this area for 6 years. I'm also a business development manager for Creative Services. I just want to say it's really good to see this progress on the issuance of licenses, the fact that you guys did the evaluation of the need from the community in determining the final number of licenses issued really says a lot about how much you are invested in the community and the fact that you want to make sure that people do have access to cannabis as medicine or meditation, or however they want to utilize the plant within within the constraints of the law. So thank you for the efforts to date. Really good to see all this progress. And I also wanted to say that you do have a lot of support, and we're looking forward to the next phase of license issue. So thank you for your work. Just wanted to congratulate the community on the fact that now we're going to have access to medicine and cannabis for other purposes within the constraints of the law. And also just making sure that we're considering the people who, have to take public transportation, people who are, sick and shut in. The fact that you've brought this plant closer to them says a lot about your dedication to the work that is the mandate for this CRC. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. Again, this block is Susan Sciorretto, Cecilia Childs Parker, David Fetter, and Paul Josephson. I see David Fetter. Mr. Fetter, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for having me on. This is David Fader, actually. I'm a cannabis business attorney at weedlaw.com. And as we're representing our clients going through the application, we had a couple of questions, which I've submitted some via email, but I haven't heard responses yet. So I figured this would be a good time to just bring them up. It appears that there's two grading systems, one which appears to be pass-fail, where for example, an annual applicant must obtain 210 points in order to be considered for an application. However, in order for them to get that 210 points, it appears they have to score 10 out of 10, or basically get full score on each of the measures. So the question is there a separate scoring matrix which occurs after the initial pass-fail scoring? And if there is a separate scoring, where is that scoring rubric? Will the public be shown how the scores are going to be derived after that pass-fail? That's question number one. Next one is, it seems like the entities may not be allowed to apply as a DBA. So the question becomes, it appears to read that entities may not apply using a DBA. Is that correct or not? And if they are not allowed to use a DBA, what happens if they want to change their business name? Some branding change, how would they go about doing that? Next one. Do the applications require someone who has lived in New Jersey for 2 years or for 2 years immediately prior to the application? Similar to the same question with the 5 years for the extra points. Is it regarding someone who's lived in New Jersey for 5 years, period, or is it 5 years immediately preceding the application? Next one, labor agreements. Do the annual applicants have to submit an attestation as well as a copy of the agreement, or is it just the copy of the agreement? Next question, fingerprinting. It says about Indentigo or Identigo. It asks for a subscriber service code for the subscriber case. We don't have that information. And then finally, just closing out, I just wanted to bring to the department's attention the fact that there's tons of municipalities that are charging an enormous amount of money for applicants to merely submit applications for local approval. And often they're even asking for an entire application process to disclose a lot of information on the application, which these applicants will be submitting to the state for consideration for their licenses. I think this is incredibly arduous. It's unnecessary. And the fees in some instances are $10,000 just to apply. These are non-refundable. In a system that's being built on social equity and on fairness, I think these should be considerably evaluated. And then finally, just last on is we've heard this before, but I think the department should consider allowing edibles to be part of the program as part of the products that are allowed to be sold. Otherwise, we're going to be encouraging the illicit market to continue to proliferate. And that's it. You guys are doing a great job. I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Fetter. The next 5 up are Andres Puerta, Zach Katzen, Tammy Buck, Precious Asaji Irasi, and Barrett Langhendorfer. Paul Josephson, Andres Puerta, Zach Katzen, Tammy Buck, Precious Asagi Irase, and Barrett Langendorfer.
A ton of people just went to my website. I just did David Fader at Weedlaw, David at weedlaw.com. A ton of people went to the website. And then
Mr. Fader, don't forget to mute yourself. Thank you.
Are any of those individuals here? I see Zach Katzen. Mr. Katzen, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Zach Katzen. I'm with the Atlantic City Cannabis Commission. One of the first things I'd like to talk about today is conventions. Atlantic City is in a prime location within a 3-hour drive of 50 million people. And cannabis conventions are going to be very huge as long as the industry starts to legalize here on the East Coast and then continues nationally. Cannabis conventions will be big for the next 10 years, and Atlantic City is in a prime position for full market share, 16,000 hotel rooms, the ocean, convention space, unlike any place else on the East Coast. We have no guidance or understanding as to how those conventions can be conducted, how they can be handled. We'd love to meet with the commission to talk about that, and even if things that aren't available now, what might be implemented in the future, because that will take time in order for us to set up and actually implement those entire processes. So we'd love to talk to you about that, work through that process in order to capture it and not lose that market share to other places like Massachusetts, who already have municipalities that are open and willing and conducting events, things of that size. And also with New York going legal, we can lose a lot of the market share to New York if we don't act quickly. Number two, one of the most common questions that we get, especially from applicants that are considering micro licenses, is why do we go through this process? There are many businesses that are open and operating illicitly with no enforcement. And in fact, today, Atlantic City Press has a front page article about one of those such businesses. It's pretty much advertising for the illicit market. And when we reach out for help about what to do or how to handle it, we receive no information. When we reach out to the Attorney General about what to do in regards to these illicit businesses operating, we're told to that they're not going to be of any assistance. They're going to stand down, which is great. But what do we tell applicants that are saying, why should we pay these fees or go through this process or jump through these hoops when we don't have to? It's literally not needed in order to operate. We have businesses in our town operating, making $250,000 a month, and we're not able to enforce or shut them down in any way with any help from the state or any guidance or any ideas on what to do. That makes it really hard to answer those questions honestly and consider us an attractive place for commerce when we can't even provide an answer as to what these applicants will receive that the illicit marketplace people are not receiving, and what assurances and protections other than, legal. So we would definitely like some guidance there. It would be great to understand. We would also, I would also personally just like to understand.
Thank you, Mr. Katzen, for your comment.
Thank you.
Mr. Langendorfer, you may go ahead. Mr. Langendorfer?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go right ahead.
Hello, I represent Rebel Dispensary. We are a recreational dispensary in Massachusetts, and we actually currently serve a very high proportion of New Jersey recreational cannabis consumers at our retail location, likely the highest in the state, and far and away they purchase more edibles than almost any other product category. The reason I'm asking this is because pertaining to NJAC 1730, some of the guidance around the allowed product types and specifications of those allowed product types for edible forms is unclear. So I was hoping for some clarification around that. Secondly, I am looking for clarification as well to the seed to sale tracking and inventory tracking software systems, which will be allowed for use in manufacturing upon personal use. Thank you.
Thank you. Precious Osagie Arasi, you may go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Chairwoman Wainu, Executive Director Jeff Brown, and all of our esteemed commissioners. My name is Precious Osagie Arasi, and I'm the co-founder and COO of Roll Up Life, Inc. We're a tech and logistics-based CBD delivery company operating in Essex County, and we've been building our delivery platform for the last 2 years, hosting an e-commerce website with our CBD vendor partners, and fulfilling CBD delivery orders for consumers over 21. I'm so excited today that we're talking about expansion of access for medical patients, and we definitely want to see that access furthered going into the recreational market. Being that COVID was a major tick in the building of our system, we also in our data found that it took patients upwards of 90 minutes to get into their nearest ATCs. So the expansion of adding new 30 is definitely a plus. However, we are hearing very little about the importance of the other supply chain, which is the distribution, wholesale, and delivery sector, especially in the report for 2022. I was hoping to hear something of that angle, but if not, I'm happy to present some ideas now that we can start to develop as we're looking to establish more access, because people are looking to potentially get their medicinal and recreational cannabis delivered to their home, especially being that there's an executive order to allow for that. And retailers can also offer home delivery. So I'm just asking you to consider the following while developing those rules and to further put out information so that section of the supply chain can begin to prepare. We've been looking at a 3-year license exclusivity period for delivery license applicants that meet social equity status as designated by the CRC. This exclusivity period will provide diverse businesses with an opportunity to get a foothold in the New Jersey delivery industry before the larger, more capitalized businesses do so. We have seen exclusivity periods successfully work in areas like Massachusetts and Colorado, again, allowing social equity companies guaranteed opportunity to succeed because they'll have guaranteed partnership with retailers. So encouraging that harmony between social equity delivery services and partners. We'd also like to see the minimum amount of cannabis allowed in a delivery vehicle at any time set to a minimum of $10,000. And each cannabis product should be associated with a specific order. One disaster we're seeing in Massachusetts is the 2 people in 1 vehicle added to extra payroll. What it does is accumulate fees and really hurts the bottom line, being that delivery services struggle to be financially profitable if regulations do not help them meet that. So again, I've sent all this information over. I'm so happy and excited to help figure out what that other side of the supply chain looks like. And I'm excited to hear more about the conversation so that patients have even more access, because there's nothing like getting cannabis delivered at home. Trust me. Thank you.
Thank you. The next 5 are Peter A. Brown Jr., David G. Evans, Esquire, Sam Fareno, Hugh Giordano, and Cara DeRosso. Are any of those individuals here? Hugh Giordano, I invite you to speak.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you fine.
Excellent. Hugh Giordano, representative for the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW, Local 152. We are the official cannabis labor union under the guise of the AFL-CIO, and we currently represent medical cannabis workers here in New Jersey and around the country as well. I'm calling in today in regards, first off, I want to say hello to Commissioner Wainu, Assistant Commissioner Delgado, the rest of the commissioners, and also Director Brown. Many of you know I like to get right to work. So, but hello to all of you. Want to speak about the investigation and compliance arm of the CRC and them interfering with the economic well-being of our members here in New Jersey. Our members have been unionizing and getting collective bargaining agreements with many economic opportunities within their contract because, as we all know, workers' rights, social justice, economic justice are the same conversation. And now we have the investigation and compliance arm of the CRC going in and taking tip opportunities out of workers' hands. This is unfair, unjust, and we believe it's illegal. We have collective bargaining agreements that have tips, including in part of their economic well-being and their economic package and their union contracts. Taking money out of the hands of workers is also taking money out of the hands of patients, because many of these workers are also patients and use this money to get their medicine. And as we saw today, those prices are pretty high. So this job allows them to get their medicine and also be part of the community. Workers are vital to the community. No worker, none of our members in the state of New Jersey ask for tips. None of them. They don't physically ask for it. They don't verbally ask for it. Patients such as myself who visit these facilities want to give gratitude. In other medical fields, doctors get trips to Tahiti, watches, lunches, major dinners, and these workers get a couple dollars from patients who choose to do so. We do not feel this is right. We want to see Mr. William Wallace, the head of the labor director of the CRC, be more involved in these conversations, because this is critical to the workers. We also want to hold folks accountable, and we hope the CRC and the commissioners will stand up for these workers, as all we hear about is social justice and economic justice. So how can we have economic justice when workers are getting money stripped from their pockets? The UFCW does not support that. The UFCW will hold folks accountable, and we hope the CRC will put an end to this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There is a Kara. Kara, please, I'm going to allow you to speak, but you will need to register your last name for the record. Kara? Okay, not hearing Kara. Sam Ferrano, go ahead. Sam Ferrano.
There we go. I'm on. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. My name's Sam Farino. I'm the president of UFCW Local 360, and I currently represent cannabis workers in New Jersey. I have an issue that I would like to address tonight with you in regards to the recent decision to remove tip jars, as my sister local just talked about, from the medical cannabis facilities. And a few things that I believe you should be made aware of. Medical cannabis facilities had tip jars since they have been in existence. And that's been for a number of years. And that's never been addressed. And then all of a sudden, we removed the tip jars. We also, Local 360 has negotiated language in our CBAs allowing tip jars. So this is in conflict with our collective bargaining agreement. And as Hewitt referenced, we would have liked to have been in the conversation. I hear the commission goes out and you meet with the community, you meet with all the groups. Well, we're one of the big groups, and it would be nice to have some input. So we look forward to hopefully the commission, recognizing us on that level. And two, I believe that you're not dealing with a typical medical facility. I don't know of any insurance plan covering medical cannabis as we speak right now. And I believe that prescriptions are written out for medical prescriptions aren't written out. They're recommendations. They're not true scripts. So I believe there is a difference here. And in closing, I would hope that the commission would revisit this decision in light of the issues that were brought forward tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm going to try Kara again. Kara?
Yes, commissioners. My name is Cara DeRosa, and I'm both an ATC employee and a patient in the NJMMP. I've been a cardholder.
Cara, I'm sorry. For purposes of our meeting minutes, we'll need to indicate your last name. Could you just spell that for our staff who are taking minutes this evening, please?
Yes, of course. D as in David, E as in Edward, R as in red, O, S as in Sam, and A.
Thank you.
My name is Cara Droza, and I'm both an ATC employee and a patient in the NJMMP. I've been a card holder since 2018 and have been working in the industry since March of 2019. As of recently, the company in which I work for, ZenLeaf, was emailed by the CRC stating that we are no longer able to collect tips from patients because it is a medical facility. Countless amounts of our patients have now been complaining that we cannot accept their tips and find this as intrusive on their rights as patients. The arguments that pharmacies do not collect them is null and void, as pharmacy and healthcare professionals get many other forms of economic compensation. The commission values equality, but this feels like a discriminatory attack on the company in which I work for, as other ATCs can currently and openly still collect tips. I use my tip money to purchase medicine in order to have a better quality of life and to provide better information and feedback to the patients. By the CRC doing this, especially during the holiday season, has hurt myself, my coworkers, and our families, and it is extremely distasteful. My coworkers and I never ask people to tip us, and if they would like to, they should be able to show their gratitude for our level of service and care. My company is negotiating a contract with the UFCW, and tips are included within our contract. As a union member, this action by the CRC delays my ability and the ability of my coworkers to have the economic justice at work within the cannabis industry. We are asking you to reconsider your decision regarding accepting tips at this time. As other dispensaries still are, we deserve the same treatment we do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to remind everyone that if your full name is not on your on my screen, I don't know who you are. Cara is a pretty unusual name, but Peter is not. So if you are a Peter or John or something, please put your name on your full name on the screen. My next five are Isabel Franciosi, Harry Bird, Paul Giblin, Christine Haas, and Jim Rice. Again, those names are Isabel Franciosi, Harry Bird, Paul Giblin, Christine Haas, and Jim Rice. I see Paul Giblin. Go ahead and speak.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Giblin, and I'm one of the founding partners of Waves of Green. We're a planned micro cultivator. First, let me please express my gratitude for all the hard work you've been doing, breaking new ground for New Jersey. You've been given an enormous task, and we're thankful for what you're doing. I registered to speak today in order to request additional guidance on the concept of physical plant for micro businesses. Well, the CRC has provided clear instruction on how canopy is to be measured for cultivators. There is no such measurement guidance for physical plant, even though it is a constraint. The definition of physical plant includes the spaces, equipment, infrastructure directly utilized by a cannabis business within the premises for activities authorized by the Act and this chapter. The challenge we face with that definition of physical plant is that the concept of spaces is undefined and the word is used nowhere else in the regulations. As a hopeful micro business, this is a large gap for us. In order to make the issue clear, I will use an example. If the CRC uses the term spaces to mean a two-dimensional surface upon which cultivation or post-harvest work is tied, 2,500 square feet of physical plant space is sufficient to support 2,500 square feet of canopy that microbusinesses are permitted. If the CRC, however, uses the term spaces to mean entire rooms or areas in which these authorized activities occur, 2,500 square feet of physical plant could not possibly support a cultivation microbusiness. To further exemplify the point, our current business plan calls for splitting our flowering canopy into 5 different rooms to normalize our revenue streams and compartmentalize contamination risks. These 5 rooms will have 2,500 square feet of canopy on 2-tiered racks, but they consume an aggregate floor space of 4,050 square feet. The majority of the space in these rooms is dedicated to accessibility for our employees and airflow for the plants. If the physical plant space includes the whole room, we would be forced to take on greater contamination risk and/or sacrifice ergonomics for those people working in these rooms. The same concept applies to things like drying and curing. Smaller spaces with less volume mean much greater volatility in environmental conditions and therefore more risk of molds and mildew having favorable conditions. This also represents a significant disadvantage for micro businesses when compared to the well-funded giants applying 4 tiers 1 through 6, who are constrained only by the size of their canopies. In order to be successful, we must obviously comply with the CRC regulations, and we intend to do so. What we would like is a better understanding of how the CRC will judge compliance against the physical plant. What we would ask is that you please explicitly define the measurement process for a physical plant similar to how it was done for the canopy. And we recommend that the CRC adopt a definition of spaces that is favorable to micro businesses as they were intended to be. And we would ask that the CRC only regard surfaces upon which cannabis is actively grown or processed as a physical plant space, as opposed to entire rooms in which those activities occur. Again, thank you very much for your time and have a great evening.
Thank you. Jim Rice, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners and Chairwoman. My name is Jim Rice, and I spent close to 25 years in the beverage alcohol space. The last date as a C-suite executive at a large wholesale distributor. I also currently own and operate a cannabis transport business in Ohio. I'd respectfully request the Commission consider increasing the number of wholesale permits that an entity may be issued from 1 to 3. The primary and fundamentally unique business proposition that a wholesale distributor can offer is the efficient and effective warehousing and logistics, which require strategically located facilities throughout New Jersey. It's important to note that states that permit wholesale distribution, which are currently California, Oregon, Washington, and Colorado, as well as New York and Virginia, none currently allow only a single permitted entity. This is both my personal and professional opinion that allowing a single entity in northern New Jersey, a permit in northern New Jersey, southern New Jersey, and along the New Jersey shore will not only help the program achieve its social equity goals, but create a safer, more diverse, and more successful adult use cannabis market now and in the future. Additionally, edibles and beverages are a massive profit driver for cannabis businesses and are a safe alternative to ingesting smoke or vapor. Please consider including edibles in the New Jersey program. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine Haas. Christine
Hello?
Haas, go ahead. Yes.
Hi, thank you so much. Hi, good evening to the commission, and thank you for all of the work that you've done so far in helping to build the cannabis industry from the ground up here in New Jersey. My name is Kristen Haas, and I'm the founder of the Botanica Boutique, which is a CBD business in Maplewood, New Jersey. I plan on applying for a micro business license for retail cannabis in March to expand my business to become a retail dispensary as well. I'm currently looking at retail spaces, but I would love to get some clarity on the regulations surrounding food selling establishments and how close they can be to a cannabis dispensary. For example, I'm looking in a strip mall type of building that does not have a food business on either side of the retail space that I'm looking at, but there is a shop that sells juice a few stores down in the same strip mall. Would this be a problem in obtaining a license? So I would love to get some clarity on things like that before I sign a lease. And thank you very much for everything you do. And that's it.
Thank you. Perry Bird.
All right, hello. Can you hear me?
Can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, perfect. So I'd like to preface this with saying that this has nothing to do with the company I work for. They do not know that we're doing this. This is a union action. My name is Perry. I have been a medical marijuana patient here in New Jersey for over the past year, along with 10 years in the Oregon's medical marijuana program. Currently, I work for an ATC in the state as a bud tender who proudly serves on the committee negotiating the union contract for over the past year. I'm here tonight over the CRC's recent decision demanding that we cease from accepting tips from our patients, causing unnecessary economic hardship upon myself and coworkers, workers who are the very face of this program. Your own agenda is to create economic justice and social equity. Words of justice in taking food off the table are the backbone of your program. My right as a patient to extend gratuity as I see fit is also being infringed upon. I've never felt solicited for a tip in any of the dispensaries I have frequented. I've also been in customer service for over 20 years, and the level of service, knowledge, care, and attention received in any one of these facilities is second to none. So for the state to interfere and prevent me from extending and accepting gratuity seems like an attack on my personal liberties, as well as an attack upon the union members of the UFCW collective bargaining unit. We have been negotiating in good faith with our company for the past year and are very close to signing an agreement. Tips have already been agreed upon. Unfortunately, this issue has caused delay in those negotiations since our time and resources are being redirected to stand up for ourselves against this unnecessary action taken by the regulatory arm of the commission. We're not breaking any laws. This is legal income. And just because someone may not like it does not mean that we're doing anything wrong. And now with recreation sales coming, which I hope to be very soon, are we still not to accept gratuity? I know my business will run just the same as it has. I will still be providing the community with this medicine according, and I will always treat it as such. But this medicine is not covered by any prescription plan. The doctors don't prescribe an exact strain or dosage. You argue that we're a medical facility as your reason for this action. Yes, we follow HIPAA guidelines, but there are no doctors on staff, no pharmacists, no actual medical personnel, and not covered by any provider. But if we were, we would be making a living wage. I really hope this opens your eyes to the damage this has caused to workers in your state and damage to the public opinion of the commission. I also hope this is rectified immediately as we head into the holiday shopping season. I also hope that this is the last action I have to take in this matter so I can go back to my workers and give them back, which is rightfully theirs. Thank you for your time and speedy resolution. With respect.
Thank you for your comment. Isabel Franciosi.
Hi, how are you?
Good,
Hello?
you may speak, go ahead.
Hi, I'm speaking on behalf of, as well as Perry stated, our company is not aware of what we're doing, but in my situation now, I am one of the key leaders at our Neptune location, and I'm speaking on behalf of my staff and the gratuity that's been taken from them. Our staff works very hard, and every employee here is very, how can I say, they're very, proper word, sorry. They're hard workers at the end of every day, and they put their all into every shift. Now, for a patient to come in and feel that they're not entitled to provide a gratuity after the service that was provided to them makes them feel very uncomfortable. I've watched many patients come in here and argue with the fact that we provide such a service that they feel that we deserve just an extra, and there's no problem with it. We've been collecting tips for over 7 to 9 months now, and all of a sudden, because of one person, we're all now punished. Our staff works very hard at the end of every situation that they get put into, and every day isn't easy. So with that being said, the little extra that comes in is more than what they really seek for at the end of every day. In the time being, within the last 2 weeks, we've seen a lot of changes come here and go. And at the end, we are all appreciative of what we have. But when this change came into matter, a lot of people struggled because at the end of the day, we are underpaid in the situation that we are in. We live in a very high expensive state. The state requires at least to have 2 sources of income. And granted, gratuity tips are not reliable. They're not always guaranteed, but they are graciously taken into consideration. So for people who can no longer accept, it really impacts us heavily. And for that to just come out of nowhere, especially during the holiday seasons, it was a very hard hit. So I just want the commissionary to be aware that at the end of the day, we all as individuals and a team work very hard, and we're appreciative of the positions that we're in and where we are. We stand together no matter what. And we understand that you guys may be put in a very tight situation, but we would like more clarification as what we were doing wrong and why this was taken from us. Like Perry said, we are very, very official with what we do, and we are not a full medical establishment where we have doctors, nurses, or prescriptions that are, straight to them. It's very different compared to a medical facility. So for them to say that because we're a medical facility, we're no longer allowed to accept gratuity, I think is wrong. So with that being said, I hope you guys take what everyone's comments and concerns into consideration and come to a very well decision of a resolution.
Thank you very much for your comment. The next group up is Mallory Hagan, Venus Hemachandra, Miguel Moreno, Tatiana Lofton, Chirali Patel, Cornelius Gary Lawson, and Joshua Alb. Again, Mallory Hagan, Venus Hemachandra, Miguel Moreno, Tatiana Lofton, Shirali Patel, Cornelius Gary Lawson, and Joshua Al. I see Mallory Hagan. Go ahead and speak. Mallory, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Mallory. Hello. I am a New Jersey medical marijuana patient, and I am a bud tender at an ATC. I am here today to discuss the CRC's recent decision to prohibit ATCs from accepting tips from patients. As a patient, I am saddened and disappointed with the decision to deny tips to bud tenders who provide copious amounts of their time and knowledge to provide a detailed and personal experience for each patient. For a service so tailored to one's needs and accommodations, I should be allowed to tip if I feel inclined. It should also be noted that the removal of tips happened right before the beginning of the holiday season. I find this in extremely poor taste, and it certainly does not promote equity within the cannabis community. As a bud tender, I am extremely grateful for anyone who is ever willing to tip. It is never expected or solicited. However, when people did decide to tip, I was able to use that money to purchase my medicine so that I could provide feedback and knowledge on different strains. In addition to being able to purchase my medicine, I was also able to work less hours, as the extra money could account for an hour or two of overtime I didn't have to work. My company is currently negotiating a contract with the UFCW, and it is stated that tips are to be included in our wages. I hope that we all can reach an agreement to assure economic justice and equity in the New Jersey cannabis space. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Shirali Patel.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Shirali Patel on behalf of Blaze Responsibly. Thank you, CRC, for the continued opportunity to speak to you all. I've submitted my concerns about the predatory practices taking place via email last week. So for the sake of your time and attention, I won't be repetitive. Chairwoman Wainu, thank you for the updates earlier on the working groups to help people have the ability to have technical support and access to capital. I appreciate that this is happening, but I respectfully request the CRC to consider delaying the acceptance of applications until there are true solutions available to qualified social equity and low-income applicants. This would actually ensure they have a fair chance at applying for and obtaining a license. They need support just like any other small business, and without the financial means, most people won't even at a bare minimum have a shot at applying for a license. So if there's any possibility to consider delaying the acceptance until the Office of Diversity and Inclusion or the Office of Minority Disabled Veterans and Women Cannabis Business Development, as it was formerly known as, is operational, that would be immensely beneficial to the public at large. And with all due respect, adult personal use cannabis is not recreational use. It's wellness, it's medicinal, and calling it recreational doesn't do anything to decrease the stigma. I understand that the state needed to make a distinction between medical use cannabis and adult use cannabis, but that shouldn't entail it calling it recreational. And we need acceptance as a community, and the CRC is the lead agency in the state. So everybody here sets the tone. I would really, really appreciate it if you can please consider or reconsider using recreational and revert back to adult use cannabis. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here whose name was called and missed their opportunity? 5, 4, 3, 2. Madam Chairperson, that is the end of our list of registered speakers this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Blake, and thank you to all who have provided their comments, questions, and concerns to the commission tonight. Just a note before we move on to the next item, many questions, several of the questions that have been raised, answers can be found on our FAQ page on our website, within the videos that we have posted online already, and more FAQs that address some of these topics will be shared and posted on our website. We expect by the end of this week. So keep your eyes on the CRC website for the most up-to-date information. So this concludes the business that is before us today. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, before I second that, can I just make some final comments?
What's that, Commissioner?
Before I second that motion, can I just make some final comments?
Well, as the lights have indicated to us, we do need to wrap things up expeditiously. So
I'll be very brief. I'll be very brief. One, I just want to say to everybody that relayed information about us to follow up with them. Please feel free to go to our website again, fill out a meeting request form so that we can have the meeting and follow up, hear your concerns, and handle those accordingly. And secondly, just want to wish everybody a happy and healthy holiday season. However you celebrate, we definitely are thankful for the public comments. We are grateful for the accountability, and we look forward to the same from the public in 2022. Thank you very much.
So I heard Commissioner Del Cid.
And I second that adjournment.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and second for adjourning our public meeting this evening. Is there any discussion on the motion to adjourn? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The motion passes. The time is now 8:48 and we are adjourned. Thank you all for joining today's meeting. As a follow-up for today's actions, the schedule for the commission's regular meetings next year is already posted on the CRC websites. Our meetings will continue to be conducted virtually until further notice. So please, again, keep your eyes on the website for the most up-to-date information. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and for those who have joined us for the 9 other public meetings that we've held this year. Thank you. I think we've done a tremendous job of working together in partnership to advance tremendous work in 2021. And we look forward to continuing that partnership in 2022. Congratulations again to all of the permit award winners this evening, and we will see you all next year. Happy New Year, everyone.